One more significant consideration is that attendees may only be joining outside of work hours, unless, of course, you're hosting a work event, in which case holding it within typical working hours becomes optimal. Many in-person expo type events have very little main stage time and spread the event over a number of days so that attendees can network, have offline business meetings, grab a coffee or lunch together. These same components are not all present with online events. The event isn't constrained by a physical place, and therefore the times when aspects of the event happen will differ. It's important that you give thoughts to when your main plenaries in a virtual event happen for this very reason. If you typically have longer, more drawn-out plenaries, you may think about condensing your main program slightly time-wise. I might add that it's important not to swing the pendulum too far in the other direction. It's not unusual for our project managers to advise clients on the need to actually include breaks in their schedule when they have multiple back-to-back one-hour sessions. In addition, while you can't grab lunch with someone online, there are still numerous networking tools that should be factored in your event. Maybe give thought to how your event can be more than a simple one-way broadcast. The question remains, when should you schedule certain components within maybe a multi-day event? Now, there are no hard and fast rules. You know your audience, and we can have constructive conversation about that. But we typically see a few general rules that are different than in person. We often see spikes at the beginning of an online event in a much greater way than we would in an in-person, where people may arrive late. And then, as with in-person event, we will see spikes when top bill presenters, music acts, or VIPs are on stage. And so hopefully that's helpful as you start planning and thinking about the timing and the duration of your event. So that's pretty much all there is for this section. So let's go through our checklist. Whether you're having an entirely in-person, a hybrid, or an exclusively virtual event, there are a number of questions that you need to answer. One of the first questions is related to venue and production. Often this seems to be answered more easily for in-person than online events. It's natural that if you're having an event for, say, 15 people, you may choose to have it in a boardroom and ensure there are enough snacks and refreshments in the room for the duration of the meeting. And then if you're having a 15,000 person event, you're going to rent an arena with adequate audio-visual production so that the audience doesn't have any challenges with seeing or hearing what is going on. Now, similar principles are true for online events, and yet sometimes the production elements for online events are not thought through thoroughly. WebRTC, that's Web Real-Time Conversations, and other video conferencing applications that you'll be aware of are amazing tools for real-time interactions. However, their strength is in connecting individuals through low-latency video connections. And that's usually for small numbers of people and not for broadcasting a high-quality message to thousands. Now, if you're having a 15-person boardroom meeting and you wish to take it online, then utilizing such WebRTC, Zoom-type applications is the right choice. If you're broadcasting a message to thousands, however, using a low-latency application is probably not the right choice. Now, the first answer to this question is production value. If an individual is invited to present a TED Talk type presentation, there will often be nerves involved. The individual has to get the presentation just right. There are numerous books on the market of how a person can do this effectively. In addition to the person's presentation and how they look on the day, the presentation is typically given on a thought-out, clutter-free stage with high-quality cameras placed perfectly, lights, audio, visual, which mean that the only thing that is focused upon is the message itself. Everything is just right to present that message. Video conferencing lends itself to convenience, extemporaneous communication, and ultimately disposable content, which is often not the right feel you want to go for when you're going for a high-quality presentation. While a presenter can prepare their content in a similar manner to a TED Talk, presenting it through a webcam in a home with poor lighting, poor audio, and distracting background, with a high risk for video dropout and audio sync issues and typically no tech help, it's not often the most ideal solution. It must be noted that there are definitely ways to improve the production quality of video conferencing conversations, recording on a higher quality camera with better lighting, audio. However, these things can often be logistically challenging, especially if you're dealing with a presenter half a country away that is slightly tech challenged. Number 2, the buffering issue. Now, personal experience and larger analytic studies reveal that audiences hate buffering. Frame drops, other glitching in video, low latency video technologies currently make the risk of such occurrences happening much, much greater. And the risk is only increased with a larger audience. To avoid issues like this, when presenting to larger audiences, we suggest that you utilize a professional encoding solution for such live situations. Now, thinking about what you want to communicate and how that will be communicated needs to be a holistic process. Whether you're planning in person